Hello, everyone. I've noticed that some of you are having a hard time with the kind of conceptual bubble diagramming. So I thought I would put together this little demo so that hopefully this will help you through this process. So on my screen, you can see a pretty typical residential site. This is at 1/8 scale. So that gives you a sense of the property, pretty typical for our urban environment. And when I start the bubble diagramming phase, I like to have some extra sketch paper available to me so that I can just overlay and be real loose and free and not worry about messing up my original base plan. So on this, you can see that this particular house is, driveway pulls right straight into the garage, small, actually not such a small walkway right up into the door. One lawn area located to one side of the driveway and then a smaller one on the other side. And there's also quite a few existing trees on this location. So when we start the bubble diagramming phase, we really like to think about those different strategies of what you're going to use with this new space. In this example, I think there's a nice opportunity right in here where it's a little protected by the house to create a more private space. And then maybe this part is more of a view garden that's closer to the street. And then this also kind of picks up with some of the same plant material on both sides of the driveway. So we'll kind of sketch that out first as a solution. And then we'll maybe work on a quick version with stormwater being integrated into it. So I like to start with colored pencils. You can steal your children's colored pencils if you want from school. I always enjoy having a nice fresh set at home to have handy for such sketching adventures. I'm going to grab a few colors here, just grabbing some colors. So first I want to make sure that I'm addressing my site circulation. For this solution, which is going to be an outdoor room and part view garden, I'm not going to really change the circulation too much. Now, it could be that maybe I want a little wider driveway. You can be thinking about if you're removing lawn and it runs right up to the driveway, it's pretty easy to stand on that surface. But if you're changing that lawn into something else, you might not be able to stand on that landscape well. So I'm just going to do some quick kind of circulation patterns of how I would expect my visitors to maybe enter my house. So this is kind of my main pedestrian path of travel into the property. I could color it if I want real quickly. Again, I'm being very loose and free, and we're not drafting. We're just kind of thinking about where we're going to need to go. So maybe I have a gate on both sides of the property. So I also probably need some kind of secondary circulation, maybe through a gate that's over here. Right, so I want to be conscious of that. Maybe over on this side, I have another gate. So I want to make sure that I kind of design for that. Again, a smaller secondary path of circulation. All right, maybe there's another gate over in here. So now I know where people are going to move through the landscape. I can start really thinking about dedicating those outdoor room spaces. So for the first part, which maybe will be an outdoor room, a lot of people have a window right out the front and they keep their blinds closed all the time. So sometimes it's nice to be able to put something interesting to look at right outside that window so that you can kind of take a peek at it, keep your blinds open and have it set a view outside your window. Hopefully that's a view. And this is just a kind of a symbol for like a focal point. Could be a bubbling urn. It could be a beautiful glazed pot with flowers, a specimen succulent plant, or a small flowering tree. something like that. And then I'm just going to create kind of the boundaries of this outdoor room. And in this area, right? So this is going to be my use area. Maybe since this is, I can see from my north arrow, an eastern exposure, maybe I'm a morning person and I just want a little patio to sit and enjoy the morning soft sunlight and read my paper or read a magazine or look at my social media in the morning. So I'm just going to quickly put a little bubble diagram here. And I can label this. So this will be my focal point. This will be my outdoor room. This is our, let's say, maintenance path. As is this. This will be my main path. Now what to do with this extra space? Well, maybe I have neighbors who have a lot of big vehicles or trash cans over there that I'm not so excited to look at every day. So maybe I want some screening along that edge. So I could create kind of a bubble along here that I want to screen my property from my neighbors. Right. So you see, I'm not really scaling anything. I'm not drafting anything. I'm just trying to think about how I'm going to use this really great space that I now have to work on my property. And then this front is going to be my view garden. So over in here, I'm going to start by kind of penciling it in. Maybe I have shrubs I don't like in this area, so I want to think about this whole area as a whole. And I'm going to circle over in here. This is a view garden. And then, of course, I want to protect my trees. Maybe this is a really wonderful big tree that I certainly want to work around and be careful how I remove the base of it, but a nice tree to sit under and have a canopy over me and maybe even hang some lights there. And then just say these are trees I want to keep too. So we're going to work around all the trees on this property. Just kind of pulling them onto this overlay so I can keep track of where they are. So I'm really kind of replanting the understory and over in here. So on this one, maybe I want some, a group of planting that's kind of medium height along in here, right? That's going to provide a little bit of privacy for this area. Not as tall as a screening shrub, but just enough so that there's a little bit of a barrier between people being able to look in my windows so that I can keep this open so I can enjoy the view out my window without worrying about passersby looking in. So I'm going to say that these are medium-sized planting. And then maybe I'll add some medium-sized plants over here, maybe along the back so I get that layered effect. And then maybe along the front, I have some, let's say lower plants in here. So these are going to be a variety of lower plants. These might be ground cover. It might be some specimen plants in there. Maybe I want to have some boulders right at the entry so I can kind of set in some of those. Maybe I'll put a couple over here to kind of provide some interest. Sometimes that's nice with lower water plants where they sometimes don't look their best year round. We'll talk about that tonight on planting selection. But that would be an example of a bubble diagram. for our typical residential house. And hopefully you guys saw that that wasn't very overwhelming to do. So I'm going to do a quick another one. This time I'm going to do a similar strategy. Maybe I'm not going to have an outdoor room this time. I'm going to focus on stormwater and creating a dry creek bed. And I have my downspout location in this area. So maybe I know that I don't need to walk on this side. My pathway is going to remain unchanged. I'm saying that this works for me, that I don't feel a need to create a pathway design to make a grand entry. And then maybe I only need to get around to one side of the house. So I'm going to put my maintenance pathway over in here, my gate, but I don't need one over here. So maybe I know that from my site assessment that I have a downspout right here that I can, it's draining, I can either intercept it and move it away, or I can, you know, if it's got an underground pipe, I can break into that pipe and use that water, interrupt it, so I can start infiltrating the water. Now I want to be at least really 10 feet away from the house is what I like to be. Get my scale out. Here it is. I'm going to set mine at 10 feet minimum away from my house. I'm probably going to go out beyond that. I want to be 3 feet away from driveways and 3 feet away from hardscape. So I've got this kind of envelope. So I want to pull water away from the house, and I want to just kind of bring it down into the yard. So I might have a kind of a basin down here. So this basically becomes my stormwater feature. Like that. Just going to kind of snake around. And this might be a dry creek bed. Now this kind of opens up a pocket for either a display of planting. So maybe in this one it's a view garden. So I might have some pockets of the medium-sized planting. If I still needed screening shrubs, I could integrate them along here between my neighbors. Maybe I'm going to put some pockets of medium shrubs here. And then maybe, let's see, maybe I just want a little area just for maybe a small bench out here. So I'm going to make a little tiny room. So I can enjoy my little kind of natural creek bed here. Bring it right up to the sidewalk. So there's my outdoor room, and then maybe the remainder of the shrubs stay nice and low. Again, I'm trying to think of this as one big space. I have just a low plane of ground covers here. Maybe I'll have a couple kind of bigger spots. It's just a few shrubs right over in here. So hopefully it's just quick and easy for you. I'll label this. This is my dry creek. To write on the So note that I've dug my dry creek right through the tree, which means that tree is not going to survive the grade change through here. So this strategy would work well if we were going to remove the tree. Maybe it's a problem tree that's starting to, cause damage to the house or the paving or something. I know a lot of you guys have that condition. We've got our dry creek here. I've got a small outdoor room. Here's my main path. and a kind of a maintenance path. And we'll say low planting. And this is my screen. And medium planting. Okay, so there are a couple quick bubble diagrams, and that's kind of gets you going with design. And if you don't get beyond this for your design coaching, if you have this and a plant list and maybe some photographs of landscapes you enjoy, your coach is going to do a pretty good job at being able to take it from here. So I will see you all tonight. Enjoy playing with your new space.